In this video, I will show you how to create a customer in Business Central. So from my role center, I will go into Sales, selecting Customers, and this brings me to the customer list. From the customer list, I can create new for creating a new customer. I can enter a customer number manually or by number series and provide a customer name. This could be the Bike Master in Copenhagen. And there will be some fields that I need to fill in and some fields that are not necessary to fill in. For instance, I might want to fill in a salesperson code, a language code if I want to use languages and reports. This might be a Danish customer, like this. An address that could be Petal Street number 3. And there might be a post number that already knows the city, so it will be filled in by default. I could have a contact name. A primary contact code is used if I want to use the contact table. Otherwise, I could just say that this is Graham Bell, for instance, and he has a phone number in Denmark, like this. Maybe an email called bell@bikemaster, etc. This way, I'll just go through all the fields on my customer card. Could be a web page here, like this. And I could have a VAT registration number. If it's in Denmark, it has to be 8 digits, depending on the country and the customer. Oops, and there was an error. So you saw here a validation functionality that checked my entering. I should have a general business posting group. So these are all the mandatory fields marked by the small dot, of course, like this. There could be customer price groups. I need payment terms for the customer. I could set up, payment terms code and payment method code. How is he going to pay? If I'm going to send reminders, how should that be? And how should the finance chart be calculated? All this is set up directly on the customer. Maybe I want to set up a location code that is default for this customer as well. So in this way, I can fill in all the fields on the customer card. And when I'm done, I'll just go back or press escape. And I have now created this new customer ready to use.
A neat little feature when working with customers is that we can make templates for creating customers. To make a new customer template, we open the customer list and open a random customer card. We go into Actions, Functions, and Templates. Here I can create a new template. I give my template a name, such as domestic. State if it's enabled or not. Give it a number series. I can type in address or contact informations. In invoicing, I can set the posting groups. I can give prices and discounts. I can set the currency code or the language code. I can also predefine payments. If I'm working with dimensions on my customer, I can also apply this to the customer template. I do this up in dimensions. And here I can set up the dimensions that I would like to be contained in this template. I can here see that the template is saved, so it will be able to use it for creating customers. I can also make a customer template based on a customer. I can go into Actions, Functions, and Save as Template. I first give my template another name, for instance, export. And customer. I can then either define or change information that has been set in automatically from the customer. I would like to delete the address information and the currency code. If dimensions were set on the customer, which it had here, it will automatically be transferred here. And if this is not what I want for my template, I can simply delete it. I could have changed it if that was what I wanted. When I now make a new customer, I will be asked for which template I would like to use. I will choose the domestic. If I accidentally choose the wrong template, I can change it by applying the other template. I go into Actions, Functions, and Apply Template. And now I can choose Export instead and press OK. And under here, under Invoicing, I can now see that the General Business Posting Group has been set to export. If I later want to change my template, if I later would like to change the content of my template, I can do this from the template list. I go into Actions, Functions, and Templates. Mark the template that I want to edit and open the card. The customer card are divided into tabs where fields that are similar are grouped together. Here on this customer card, the tabs has been collapsed and we can only see fields of information that has been promoted. In the General tab, we have information about the customer number and name and balance and total sales. Address and contact holds the information about the address and contact of the customer. In Invoicing, we found posting details and currency code. In the Payment tab, we have information about the application method, payment terms, and reminder terms. And lastly, in the Shipping tab, we have information about ship-to codes and from where we want to ship our items and other information relating to the shipping. Let's have a look at the basic fields on the customer card. In number, we type in the customer number that we had defined. If it's been set up, it will use a number serial. If your setup allows it, you can type in a customer number manually. In name, we state the customer's name. Under address and contact, we set in the customer's address. If we have set up postcodes in the postcode table, along with city, along with county region code, the city and county region code will be filled in automatically when I choose a postal code. It is also under address and contact that we define the language code for the customer. This is the language code that defines the language for which we communicate with the customer. Under Invoicing, we need to make sure that the General Posting Group, the VAT Posting Group, and the Customer Posting Group are set up. These will be explained further in another video. In currency code, we defined which currency the documents for the customer are calculated in. If the currency is equal to local currency, this field should be left blank. In the Invoicing tab, we would also need to consider if our prices on the document should be shown including VAT or not. In payment terms, we define a payment terms code which indicate the payment terms that you are giving for your customer. In payment method code, we choose the payment method that we have set up and we would like our customer to use. In reminder terms, we choose a reminder term for our customer. If this is left blank, we will not be able to create reminders for this customer. In finance charge code, we define the finance charges that should be calculated for the customer. Under the shipping tab, if you're using locations, fill out the location code from where you would like the customer's orders to be automatically processed from. Last but not least, we have the shipment method code, which defines the shipment method that we would use for shipping our orders to the customer. Let's have a look at the frequently used fields on the customer card, here among calculated fields. If we start with the calculated fields here in the General tab on the customer card, we have a few of them. The first one is balance in code local currency, which shows us how much this customer owes us for the complete sale. Here in balance due, we can see the payments that the customer are overdue per today's date. Here in total sales, we can see all of the turnover we have had with the customer in the fiscal year. This contains both of posted invoices and credit memo, but also open documents that will change the total sales, such as unposted credit memos or return orders. The cost is the sum of the cost prices from the items or resources of the items that we have sold to the customer. In profit, we can see how much we have earned on the customer, calculated based on posted documents. And the profit in percentage gives us the profit percentage. These are all calculated fields from the customer ledger entries. In the General tab, there's also a few fields that is often updated or used on a customer, such as blocked, if the customer should be blocked either for shipment, for invoicing, or for both shipment and invoicing. Privacy block can be turned on if we would like to have limited access to the data due to a privacy review. If we activate this, we can see that the blocked is automatically filled. In salesperson code, we can define a salesperson that are responsible for this customer. In document sending profiles, we can connect customers to document sending profiles. These define how we would like to send our documents to the customer. If nothing has been picked in this field, a default will be used for the customer. In last date modified, we can see when this customer card was last updated. Under address and contact, in contact code, we can define if we have set up contacts on the customer and which should be the primary contact. In contact name, we can either just type in a contact, or it can be filled out from the contact code that we have chosen above if we are using this. In phone number, we add the customer's primarily phone number. Email is the email address that we primarily are sending documents to. Homepage, the customer's homepage. In invoicing, we can define if our bill to customer is another than the actual customer card. We do this by finding the other customer and put it here in bill to customer number. In VAT registration number, we state the customer's VAT registration number. In GLN, we enter the customer's global location number if we are using electronic document sending. In payments, we can insert a prepayment percentage if the customer needs to prepay for all of their orders. In partner type, we can define if it's a customer or it's a company. This information we can use for filtering other places in the system. Lastly, in the shipping tab, we can define if the customer has more than one ship to location. We can then set up different ship to codes and we can choose from them from the list if they have been set up. On the customer, there are some neat, frequently used actions that I would like to show you. These actions are mixed of setup on the customer, aggregated information about the customer, an action that can be done directly from the customer card, which give us a shortcut to actions that we would normally perform other places in the system. From Navigate and Customer, we can set dimensions on the customer. We can define more ship-to addresses if the customer have alternative ship-to addresses. In Contact, we can set up more contact cards. In cross-references, we can set up item numbers that refer to the customer's item numbers, so that we can show the customer's own item number on the document instead of our item number. And in Comments, we can set up comments about the customer. Under History, we find shortcut entry into the ledger entries for the customer. This is a fast way to see all the customer ledger entries for the customer. The same in Statistics. We can see useful statistics of aggregated data on the customer. There are also other predefined statistics that you can open from here. In Prices and Discounts, we can set up invoice discount percentages that apply to customer invoices. Prices, if a customer should have other prices than that on the item card. And line discount if the customer apply for line discounts. Under Documents, we can navigate to documents relevant for the customer. From here, I can, for instance, open orders and see all of the orders in the system for this customer. Under Actions and New Documents, I can create a long list of documents directly from the customer card. When I make a document, all of the customer's information will automatically be inserted into the sales order. Some of these most frequently used actions has been promoted and can be found here on the customer card.
In this video, I will show you how to set up item discounts, line discounts, and invoice discounts on a customer. So from Business Central, from my customer list, I will enter the specific customer that I would like to provide some discounts. And from my Navigate tab, I can go into prices and discounts for the specific customer. So first of all, I could set prices, which is discounts for specific items. So in this case, I could take my item number that I created that I want to sell and enter a minimum quantity and a unit price for the specific item. So when this customer buys this item, at least 10 pieces, this is the price. I could also set a starting and ending date and thereby determine the prices in specific date intervals. Likewise, if I go into my line discounts, I could say that for this item, when this customer buys this item, like this, and he buys at least 100, I will provide him 5% discount. So now I set up discounts in two different ways on the same item on the same customer, which would normally not be done. But again, here you can have a starting date and you can set a line discount instead of a specific discount for this item. And the last thing I could do was to set up an invoice discount. So this means when the customer buys the total of whatever amount, he could have some discounts. So in this case, I could say if he buys in Danish crowns, at least 100,000, like this, I will give him a 3% discount. So after setting all of this up, this should take effect into the sales orders when I create sales order. And I can also see this data now if I enter my item list. I have the same view, but instead of seeing it per customer, I could see it per item. So if I enter my item number here and I go into my special prices, I can set my sales prices, and here I can see that the line that I just defined is the first one, and also defined a line for another customer that buys this item a little more expensive. And again, likewise, I could go into my prices and set special discounts and see if other customer has discounts on this item. So this is a way I can work very generically with discounts and item prices.
On customers, we can define prepayment percentages on all orders or on specific items. We use these prepayment percentages if we would like the customer to pay in advance of sending the items. To set up a prepayment percentage for all orders, we do this under Payments. Here in the prepayment percentage, we state how many percentages the customer should pay in advance. Now, when a new order is created, this prepayment percentage will be transferred. We can also set up prepayment percentages on just some items. We do this in Navigate, Sales, and Prepayment Percentages. Here I can set up for each item number. I can state a starting date, an end date, and the prepayment percentages. So if this customer buys item 1050, they would have a prepayment percentage of 100 for this specific product. When looking at my customers, I notice that I have two customers that looks very much the same. I have the Bikemaster Atlanta up here, but also a new customer named Bikemaster Atlanta. I assume that this is because we now have a duplicate of my two customers, but I can merge these two into one. I go into the customer card of the customer that I know contains most of the fields that I would like to keep. And I go into Actions, Functions, and Merge With. And now choose the customer that I would like to merge with. This gives me a comparison between the current customer and the merge with customer. I can now scroll over the informations on the customer card and say, for instance, I know that the new customer was made because the person who called me, so the contact person, changed. So a new customer card has probably been made instead of changing the contact on the original customer number. I therefore say override on the contact. And I can scroll over all fields that is either different or has been added. When I have looked all over the fields, I can say merge. This will result in the two customer being merged and the duplicate record will be deleted and we assign the related records to the current record. Please be aware, when you do this, it cannot be undone. Yes. And now the duplicate customer number has disappeared and my contact name of Susan has been updated on the original customer card.
With master data information, I can enter texts on customers, vendors, items, batch numbers, bill of materials, and so on. So if I enter a customer number 20,000 here, in my master data information menu, I've got the text functionality here. And I can add text in 3 levels with my specifications here, my master data. So for example, in my information code, which is the top layer, it's like adding fields to the customer card, in this case a field that is called contact, and I can select the field, and after that I can select information value, and I can add a list of different information value. In this case, these are my contacts that I want to be able to add to my customers, and after selecting one of my contacts, it will automatically fill in my description. It's also possible to add extended text and languages and so on. We'll run through that in another video.
When entering a VAT number in the VAT registration number field on the customer cards, we will have a validation of the format. So now I try to take this number and it says it has a validation issue. And that's because that this VAT registration number does not fulfill the Danish requirements. So I want to find out what format I can do it in the Danish VAT registration number. See here I have a Danish customer. So I must go to the country region table. And in this table I will find Denmark as my Danish customer. And in the top I can have, under the navigate, the country region, I have the VAT registration number formats. So actually here I can see that the format for Denmark would be DK and then 8 numbers or just 8 numbers, DK 8 numbers in pairs of 2 or just in pairs of 2. So those are the valid formats for Denmark. If I delete the format here, it will not make any validation when I enter the VAT registration number in the VAT registration number field. In this video, I will go through the EU VAT registration number validation service when entering a VAT registration number on a customer. So I will just enter a number on this customer, and that's a valid format for Denmark, where my customer is placed. And it tells me that it didn't find a match for this number, and the match is actually on the EU VAT registration number validation database. I will press OK, and I will just look upon this one here, where I have a table where I have a lot of invalid or not verified VAT registration numbers. So I will go to the EU VAT registration number validation service setup, and we have it right here, and you can see it's a standard setup. It has a homepage where it controls all the VAT numbers, and I can enable or I can disable it. It's a standard setup as enabled. The smart thing about this service is that if you enter a valid VAT registration number for a company that you got from your customer, actually it will test on the name and address on your customer, and it will correct it in Business Central if you allow it to do that. In this video, I will go through how you can add notes or links almost everywhere in Business Central. It could be on the purchase order, the sales order, the vendor, the item, or in this case, the customer. So first of all, I look upon the customer list, and I have the details of the customer in the fact box to the right. I can press attachment, and I can see here I have links and notes. And I can add a note by pressing the plus sign. Or I can use the shortcut Alt-O. In the same way, I can add links by pressing the plus sign. And you can see it automatically makes a description that equals the link address. And of course you can change that. So in this case, I now have added 2 notes and 1 link to a customer.